Hi everyone. I wanted to do a video this week on something that's been raised by a few clients. I wouldn't say a huge amount, but the topic is working abroad during the pandemic. So whilst we've had a work from home message, some employees have taken that to quite an extreme in some cases and decided to base themselves perhaps from a holiday home abroad or even a long-term let. And that might continue once and increase once travel restrictions are lifted. So I'll just go through some of the main issues to consider if you do receive a request to work from abroad. Advance approval is obviously a prerequisite for employers. Some have been caught out because they haven't explicitly made staff aware that working from home doesn't include abroad. But approval should be required from a senior manager or even director in the business. If the employee can't carry out the role effectively and lawfully, they shouldn't be permitted to go and work abroad. Requests should be treated consistently and fairly. So if we turn down one particular request, we need to have sound reasoning if we're then going to allow requests from other employees. Do we take personal circumstances into account? Well, we should when we're talking about home working generally. So does the employee live alone? Do they have mental health issues which might impact on them working at such a distance from the employer? How will reporting lines apply, particularly if employees can't attend in-person meetings and if the technology may be a factor to consider whilst they're abroad? And what channels of communication are likely to be the most secure. So obviously security and data protection considerations once again rear their head where employees are working away from home. And in terms of communication, where exactly is the employee going to be based? Because if there is an issue with time zones, for example, how are meetings going to take place? How are your staff going to interact with third parties if they need to do so? If we do agree to remote working from abroad, then obviously those arrangements should be committed to in writing. Ideally, as with home working, unless there is a seismic shift in employer attitudes, it will be stressed as a temporary measure. So some issues to cover in the contract. We want the law of England and Wales to continue to apply to the relationship. We may want an end date to the arrangement, set review points, discretion always for the employer to retract that permission to work from abroad. Any changes to contractual benefits, so will there be additional equipment provided, will there be data bundles for mobile phones, that sort of thing with the employee working abroad? Will they have to relinquish their car? Will they be paid in a different currency? Who's liable for any additional taxes? And that may be something you have to take specialist advice on, whether there are any additional liabilities for an employee working abroad. And the employee themselves accepting their own risk to an extent in terms of the protection of their health and safety and following any health and safety advice. Immigration could potentially be an issue. Again, we're talking now about other jurisdictions and other countries where we don't necessarily have as much of a handle or knowledge on local laws and regulations. But those are all things that we're going to have to consider from a legal, contractual, and probably most importantly, practical perspective, because ultimately, if the role is really not suitable to be delivered from abroad and communication and efficiency is going to suffer as a result, we may want to turn those requests down. Conversely, there are case examples of employees who have that freedom to be perhaps in warmer climates at the moment or in warmer countries during the summer when travel restrictions are eased, that productivity and employee happiness may increase. So if you do receive requests from employees to work abroad, all things should be considered. You may reject it out of hand if there is an imminent move back to office working, but hopefully we've given you an overview of the different elements to consider if you do receive such a request. If you do have any specific questions or queries on this point, please do get in touch. Visit our website chadwicklawrence.co.uk for contact details, or email employmenthub@chadlaw.co.uk. Thank you.